Good day, everybody, and welcome to day six. Oh, crack of the voice there. Day six. Yeah, so you guys have almost done a week now. And it's no small challenge to start off reading the Bible in a year and end up going into Job. I can tell you. it's The reason that Job is has been endeared to so many people is because most of us, um, we identify with the suffering and when we see that Job is innocent, um, that he has not done anything to bring this on, we should also be gaining a perspective that sometimes our Father takes us through things that are not about us. Now, He uses everything for our benefit, without a doubt. There will be things that will build us and increase us in our process of growing and maturing. But sometimes He takes us through things for other people and for other benefit. And Job is going through this process because the Creator, as he's known at this time with Job, the Creator wants to use Job as a way of revealing Himself to others. He wants to glorify Himself through Job. And Job's example of worshiping him in the worst of times. It's like those of you who know Pastor Gordon, Pastor Gordon often says, what's the devil going to do when he throws everything at you and your response is to worship, you know, and that's what we do, and that comes out of Job. Um, so we we've already looked at this slide a number of times. If you need to read it through, you can pause and read it, but I don't think we need to touch on it again. We're going to go right into Job chapter 10. And here we find that the Job is going to continue now with his theme, and the theme being that he wants an opportunity to present his case. So in here in verse 1 and 2 in chapter 10, we read, I loathe my life. I will let loose my complaint. What's his complaint? I will speak out of my bitterness. So he's recognizing he is in that place of bitterness, and that's where he is speaking from. But he believes he has a legitimate complaint. I will say to God, don't declare me guilty. Tell me what you were accusing me of doing. So don't judge me and find me guilty. Don't make that pronouncement over me until I have an opportunity to understand what it is that you've got against me. You can kind of understand that, can't you? If you went to court and you were accused of something and they never told you what you were being accused of, so you couldn't respond to that. You couldn't mount a case against it. You couldn't present your innocence, and the judge just turns around and calls you guilty, and you don't even know what you're being um, called guilty for. So this is how Job is seeing it, because Job doesn't understand what's going on. Job is supposed to be in a place of just trusting God. And there's a lot of people in this world that says that God has to earn our trust. And I would just put forward that God doesn't have to earn anything. And that's kind of what we're discovering here, is we're discovering some of the basic understandings of the Creator, who the Creator is. And as we were saying yesterday, if God um, isn't good, man, we'd be in a lot of trouble. So yeah, so this is his theme. Like, give me an opportunity to present my side of things here. Then in verse 4 and 6, this is something that's very important, because can I tell you, if you know anything about comics and superheroes and Marvel movies and all that sort of stuff, we have a problem with perfection. One of my least liked superheroes is Superman, because he's supposed to be super, and he's anything but super, because we have a problem with perfection. And instead of allowing him to be perfect, they had to give him the kryptonite. And kryptonite is supposed to be very rare, and yet it seems that everybody and his uncle can get their hands on kryptonite to defeat Superman. Because what we want to do is we want to lower this superhuman to a point where he has to overcome things like we have to overcome them. And that's why we have a problem um, with a perfect God. And that's why in all the Greek gods and the Roman gods, all the gods were just, they were like humans, except on a grander scale. All the things that we struggle with in their stories, they struggle with, but with greater consequences because they have greater power. So it's hard for us to accept a perfect God. And Job here is showing us that the basic understanding of the Creator is that he's not human. He's not human. Do you, in verses 4 to 6, do you have physical eyes? Do you see like a human? Are your days like those of a human? Your years like years of a human, that you search for my wrongdoing and seek my sin? So the reason that Job is talking about this is basically saying is God, you should know I'm innocent. You're not like a human being. Your judgment is perfect. So you should know that I'm innocent. Um, you don't see like a human sees. You don't react like a human reacts. Like you're not human. And that's so important for us to get in our head, because quite often we project ourselves onto God, and we limit him according to our limitations. And it's so important here that we're hearing Job saying this, because Job has a greater expectation of God. But in saying that, again, Job has that filter of grief and loss and pain, but he should be at a place in his relationship with the Creator that he just extends that trust to him, and that's what he's struggling with right now. So, what do we learn about the Creator from Job in this chapter? We understand that the Creator is not human and does not act like a human. God is the Creator of everything. Nothing exists that didn't come from Him. And God the Creator is all knowing, and nothing can be hidden from him. So that's what we learned from that chapter. Then going into Job 11, we're now hearing from Zophar, the third friend. And here's what we learned from Zophar about the Creator. The Creator overlooks some sin. That's what he says there. There's an understanding that he doesn't actually hold every single sin. There's some things that he chooses. It's by grace. By grace, there are some things that he overlooks. It's impossible to know everything about him. It's impossible to know everything about the Creator. He's just too big. He's too much. We can't take him in. He is all powerful. Nothing can stop him. He is our hope. He is our security. So this is what we learned from Zophar. Then in 12, we're back to Job, and we find here that Job is losing his awareness of his own bitterness, of his own grief, and he's starting to actually listen to his own words, and he's judging his words as if he's in a healthy position, as if he's not tainted, as if he has some kind of understanding that he doesn't have. So he's forgetting this, that his perspective is tainted by his grief and bitterness, and he starts seeing himself as a joke. He just thinks he's there for the amusement of God, that he's just this plaything, and that's where this is coming. And if we don't keep our perspective right, if we don't stay in the truth of who God is, of His Word, we can allow ourselves to be twisted. We can allow our perspective and understanding to be twisted, and that's why some people can go through grief and bitterness, and they just flourish. They flourish. They grow. They're full of joy and full of peace because they're walking in this position of trust. And there's others who start allowing that bitterness to change their perspective, and they don't even recognize the danger of that, and so they take on this perspective that they start seeing as truth. And so we have to be careful, because then we stop seeing ourselves as God sees us. What we learn from Job in this chapter of how the Creator is seeing at this time is that all life is in his hands. He is wise, powerful, understanding. Nothing can fight against him. So we've had some of these that are being repeated. Everything belongs to him. Everything belongs to him. He gives success or brings disaster. He gives to complete a person, or he takes to humble a person. Yeah, he gives to complete a person, or he takes to humble a person. It's very interesting. So it's after reading this chapter, or go back and read it again, read chapter 12, and now imagine if God wasn't good. Man, we'd be in a lot of danger. If you read that chapter again and forget everything that you know about him, and you think that it is possible for him to be malicious, it's possible for him to be hateful, it's possible for him to be all these things, put on him some of the human traits, and that he isn't good. Could you imagine if he has all these things? He's all powerful, everything's in his hands. He has all understanding, he knows all things. Could you imagine how much trouble we'd be in? Wow. And then in Job 13, the theme continues, where Job wants to present his case of innocence. He's desperate. He's really desperate. He's so frustrated right now, because of the things that his friends are saying. They're accusing him of sin. They're accusing him of all these things, and it's a wrong place, a wrong position. And he just wants the opportunity just to answer any of the charges that God has against him, which God has no charges against Job. That's a problem. There is no court. There is nothing against him at all. God just needs him to stand in this thing and to trust him. And so Job turns around and he tears into his friends, because they are no comfort in his grief, because their position is a wrong position. They're providing no hope for a future for him. And that's what he's so desperate to hear right now is hope. There's hope for the future. He tells them they're as guilty as he is. It goes back to what he had said before, but there's no one innocent before God. There's no one. So if Job is innocent, so are his friends, or is guilty, so are his friends. And something that we all need to come to understand. There's there's no hope in cliches. There's no hope in platitudes. That's what I was looking for. Platitudes. Platitudes are they're just quick answers, and there's no life to them, and they're useless. And I think Job describes them very well in this chapter. So again, in this chapter, asking for the opportunity to respond to God. Because it's really, Job has accepted this idea that God, the Creator, thinks that he's done something wrong. Yeah, just that's where Job is in all this. He knows he's innocent. He knows that he hasn't done anything, but there's just something that he believes the Creator is holding against him. Something where the Creator has misunderstood something, mistaken something, and Job just wants that opportunity to clear the air. It's not true, but that's Job's getting to that place in his grief and his pain, that this is the one thing that he's holding on to, because his friends aren't giving him anything else to hold on to. They're not holding up any hope for him. So this is the only hope that he has, that he would have an opportunity to respond to God. So yeah, and we see here how bad it's getting, because the prolonged pain is causing Job to start thinking that humanity's purpose is to suffer. Man, when you've been in suffering for so long, you think that's all there is, that there isn't anything else, and he needs his friends to be speaking other things into him. That's our responsibility when people are going through things, is to speak a different reality into their life, to let them know that it's not all about suffering, that there's so much more to it, and hold up that thing for them. So there's things here that we're learning, how we can minister to people, how we can help them, because Job is indicating here, this is what I need, guys, this is what I need. and just lose the whole idea that God is punishing people for their sins, because we're told that there's one day of judgment. There's one day of judgment. Under Jesus Christ, there's one day that's been reserved for judgment, and that's what we need to remember. So that's a lot to cover again today. Um, yeah, I don't need to do that one. So you guys, listen. Thanks for holding in there. Thanks for just hanging on, and we're going to get through Job, and we're going to go into some even more interesting stuff. But you guys have a blessed day today. Try to at least keep a list of the things that we're learning about the Creator, some of the basic stuff that was understood before he started revealing so much more of himself. He is for you guys. He loves you. He absolutely does. He is our Father. Don't limit him to what we're learning here. You need to hold on to Jesus Christ. You need to hold on to that revelation. This is just some of the foundational stuff that we're going over here. So you guys be blessed, be encouraged, have a great day, power filled, filled with love and mercy and grace.